Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. And I've got a very special friend, guest on today's show that I think will probably have more impact on your business, marketing, deal finding, capital raising than anybody else we've had on here. Yes, we can talk about the nuts and bolts of notes. We can talk about how powerful it is to evaluate a note and break it down and make a good return. But honestly, what it comes down to is to find more deals, you need more money, right? And to make and raise more money, you got to have more deals. And you know what connects the two? Marketing. And there's one channel out there that I think is more important than all the other crap out there. And it's not as intimidating. It's not all pop and locking, dancing a jig and stuff like that. It's really the most professional social media. And I wanted to bring on my friend who is the utmost number one expert in LinkedIn. He's at over a 20-year track record of working with businesses, organizations, raising more than 40 million online. He is the man, the myth, the anti-pickle eating friend, formerly from Ducks Unlimited, my good buddy Anthony Jones. What is going on, Anthony? How you doing today, bud?
Hey, Scott, I am fantastic. I appreciate you having me on today, and you have set the bar really, really high as far as the expectations for this show. So I really appreciate you setting me up for that right up front.
Hey, you know what? It's A-okay because I set the bar pretty low.
But yeah, thrilled to be here, man.
Hey, glad to have you. We met back, I think, was it 4 years ago? Yeah, right about 4 years ago, because you're just celebrating you said you got through your third year in business. We met when you were at the previous spot at a nonprofit conference here in Austin back in the day.
Neo Summit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And love what you shared about that and took what I learned from your discussion and applied it immediately. We've had you on before on the show here, but you are always so great and entertaining, all educating on the LinkedIn side. So can you share with our audience a little bit about you, kind of your philosophy and why you set your hat on LinkedIn for everything that you're doing?
Yeah. And right as you asked that question, like I'm seeing myself frozen up here.
Well, audio's still working. I'm sure it'll come undone here in just a second.
All right. Well, good deal. Well, yeah. So sort of long story short, Scott, like you said, I spent 20 years in the nonprofit space, working at Ducks Unlimited. In 2018 or so, LinkedIn was sort of coming onto our radar as a channel that we wanted to explore for, raising more brand awareness and fundraising for the organization. But so yeah, in 2018 or so, LinkedIn was sort of coming onto our radar as a channel to add to our social media mix. But it was that one network that I didn't have any personal experience with outside of hiring someone for my team, right? So I figured the best way to learn it was to just get in there and do it myself. And I started posting content. I had no plan. I had no strategy. I had no clue what I was doing. But over the course of a couple of years, I had managed to build a brand, to build up a network. And in 2020, when COVID hit, I had people kind of out of the blue start messaging me on LinkedIn asking for help, help with their profile, help with their content strategy because they were losing jobs or they were afraid they were going to lose a job. And all of a sudden, LinkedIn became really important again to a lot of people. And that started off, I helped a lot of people for free at first. It turned into a side business. And then over the course of a couple of years, I had enough inbound leads from LinkedIn to start my own consulting business. So I share that story because it's something that I've experienced firsthand, the power of LinkedIn, not even expecting anything to come from it. But obviously I learned a lot of lessons along the way, and I have a passion for sharing those lessons and now helping others, both individual professionals as well as companies, leverage the power of LinkedIn to build their brands and grow their business. Because to your point, it is one of the most underutilized, but by far the most important and impactful social media platform if you're trying to build a brand and grow your business. Hands down.
Hands down, totally agree with that. And that's what we see a lot, especially in the note business here, real estate. Especially, we track a lot of our sources come from like business contacts at banks, hedge funds, things like that. it's much more professional to raise capital on LinkedIn versus the dumpster fire that Facebook is, or the lack of engagement there, or the true dumpster fire that Bigger Pockets has become, which is kind of big in the real estate side, with them being just a complete mess over there. But let's dive into a couple things here. Let's start on the negative. That way we can kind of hit into the positive. What is probably and I already know the answer to this because I just know you, but what's the top three things, really the three biggest mistakes that you see people making when they jump on LinkedIn and try to get started on there?
Yeah, so many different mistakes, but the number one biggest, hands down, is the mentality people have of that they can come on there, they can connect and pitch slap you in the DMs, right? That's the number.
Immediately.
It's the number one turn off that makes most people, feel ick about LinkedIn. And that may have worked 20 years ago, but it hasn't worked in ages. And they have the wrong mindset. They look at LinkedIn as an opportunity to pitch and to sell, and there is a place and a time for that. But the mindset they need to have is how can I approach this platform to build relationships, to add value, and network like a real human being at a real networking event, as opposed to walking up to someone at a networking event, shaking their hand and saying, I've got something to sell you. That doesn't work in real life. It doesn't work on LinkedIn. So that by far is the biggest mistake that people make. And I think one of the other big mistakes is the fact that if they're not doing that, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to post. They don't know how to go about creating a strategy. So what you end up seeing is everyone has a LinkedIn profile, but still only about 1% of the global population of LinkedIn users post consistent content. And so that's where the other big gap is. If they're not getting any success with the cold pitches, they think their LinkedIn profile is enough, and it's not. It takes a lot more than that to really build a brand and grow your business.
Now, I think it's you that you mentioned it in one of your previous presentations that there's such a small amount of people that post on a daily basis there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, we need to post once a week. Across things like once a week, people aren't going to even see you, right?
Yeah.
But if you post on a daily basis, it doesn't mean to be 3-4 times a day. I think that's overkill. People don't have time for that.
Yep.
But if you're posting once a week, I see that my biggest response actually sometimes comes on Saturday and Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just being consistent. Was it like 3% only post on Sunday or something like that of all the users or something like that? I think I saw.
Yeah, it's a small percentage for sure. And to your point, yeah, once a week is definitely not enough. There's the overall number of people is small, but it is growing, and so there is more noise, there is more competition for eyeballs in the news feed. So it does take more consistency and more frequency than once a week. And as you do it, just like anything else, the more you do it, the better you get at it, the easier the process becomes. But it's like anything, you have to put in the reps, and you have to learn what works, or you have to hire someone to help you actually, do it on the other hand.
Right. Now, one of the things I know that LinkedIn over the last few years is really, especially for new accounts, new profiles, have really hammered down on the invites, the engagement, how many people you can connect with on a day in or weekly basis. Some people it's like 20, some other people it's 100, and then it goes soon to go to 500, stuff like that as you grow. Any tricks to that, or do you need to sign up for the most expensive LinkedIn account for that? Are there any tools that you like to use to grow your network?
Yeah, so LinkedIn Premium certainly has its benefits. I think it's like $50 a month. You get like unlimited search views. You have more privacy settings as to who's viewing your profile and how you show up. So I think there's benefits to that, but there's no benefit to like getting more reach on your post you're not buying reach.
Right.
It's just a tool that allows you to do a little bit to do a little bit more there. As far as like, growing your network, I don't have any, and I would never recommend anyone use like automation tools because that can get your account really jammed up, or even get it banned completely. I always recommend like send 10 connection requests a day, right? And send connection requests to people who not necessarily are your ideal prospects, but people who are in your industry, other thought leaders who are just putting out good content. if you are leaving comments and you have an interaction with someone on LinkedIn and they're not a first degree connection, send them a connection request and just say, hey, Scott, really love the post today about XYZ, would love to connect. Those acceptance rates are like 75 to 80% because you just had a positive, real world engaging experience. And that's an effective, authentic way to grow your network, as opposed to again using some service to try to build that automatically for you.
Mm-hmm. That's what I say. Always take the time to figure out who the thought leaders are in your industry and connect with them first, because that's going to help you if you make those connections, especially if you're starting off. That's going to expand a whole lot of growing your second degree connections, which is the easiest to connect with versus third and beyond. You know,
Exactly.
people always ask me, well, I only got a few second degree connections. That's because you're not connected to anybody. Connect with me, connect with a few other people in the note business, and it'll help you grow, or in real estate, whatever niche you're focused on, and kind of draft off of our network that we've been developing for 10 plus years.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Now
And
you
and
mentioned, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, and I was just going to say, and like aside from sending out connection requests, which you should be doing, like if you're leaving comments every day, like thoughtful, relevant comments on relevant content, you're going to get inbound connection requests. You're going to get inbound followers because people want to follow and connect with people who support their content. So that's the other part of building your network is just engaging naturally and contributing to the larger part of the conversation on LinkedIn. That's going to help you grow your personal brand as much as anything else that you'll do.
Now let's talk about, besides commenting, what are some of the things that you see doing well to draw engagement, getting people to connect with you, that kind of stuff. What stuff are we talking? Stories, videos, images, emojis,
Yep.
sharing your YouTube video. What do you like that seems to be doing best out there?
Yeah, hands down, right now, especially as we head into 2025, short form video content is everything on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is doubling down on video content creators. You may have seen that they actually have a new feed inside the mobile app, which is called Video. When you click it, it is identical to the TikTok style video feed that TikTok has, or Instagram, or YouTube Shorts. And I think what LinkedIn has realized is that's the way consumers enjoy consuming content, right? At the macro level, whether you like it or not, like that's just what people have been trained on: snackable, short, visual content. And the creators who are jumping on video right now are getting opportunities for massive visibility. I actually have a client who has been posting videos on her profile. Typically gets 1,000, maybe a couple thousand views, which is pretty good. But one of her videos recently got picked up into the new feed, and it had 135,000 views like in over a day or two, and it was still going. So if it gets picked up in that feed, like the opportunity for visibility is insane. The other reason that I love videos, and even before today, is the fact that they help you stand out and cut through the clutter on LinkedIn. I love AI tools. I use them all the time, but there's so much AI generated crap in the news
Yep.
feed right now. It's harder to stand out. You can have a really good, thoughtful text post, but it may just blend in. But when you have your face and your personality and your voice showing up, it makes you more memorable. It makes you cut through that clutter, and it will build your brand, your personal brand, faster than anything else you can do.
Now, what is LinkedIn considered short form? Because I know a lot of the platforms have been different. Usually it's been like a minute or less. YouTube just changed their short to 3 minutes in a lot of cases,
Mhm.
um, and stuff like that. So what is kind of I mean, not Instagram, sorry, LinkedIn doing with the short form? Do you have an idea as far as the length of the video and how long it needs to be?
So I don't know exactly what their cutoff is, but like generally speaking, I always advise my clients shoot for 60 seconds or less. And shoot for 60 seconds or less, get right to the point. Like you are competing with every millisecond of someone's attention. And the video has to draw them in right at the very front. Don't make the mistake of introducing yourself and like jump right in and say, today I'm going to tell you the 3 reasons why you need to do XYZ, and pack that video with value. Don't get too concerned about the production quality, Yes, you want to keep it moving. Yes, you want to have some captions. Animated captions are ideal. But don't focus too much on the production. Focus on the message. Keep it short and sweet. Again, it's just like anything else. It takes consistency. The first few videos you put out there aren't going to go viral, but the more you do, the better you will certainly get at it.
That is so true.
Definitely.
Whether it's your deep thought of the day or an asset or deal that you're working on, what's going to be valuable to your clients or your ideal clients or network there for you. Are there any tools that you're using to help you come up with ideas or content, Anthony?
Yeah. So like I love Chat GPT. I don't use it for just like writing out posts, but for content creation ideas, if you're prompting it the right way, giving it the right background information about who you are, what you do in your business, who your ideal customers are, and tell it, generate a list of 20 video ideas that speak to the pain points my audience faces in their business, right? And a lot of times, what I will do is take that even further and say, okay, I'm not going to take this post that ChatGPT gave me and like put it out there as text, but I will tell it, turn this into a 30-second video script. And I will then load that into a teleprompter app and, pick up the phone, shoot it selfie style, super simple. And even though the AI helped generate some of the script, it's me delivering the message on camera, and it doesn't have the look or feel of an AI generated post. And that has allowed me and my clients to scale our production, exponentially compared to what we used to do is, sit around the table and think, what can I post today? And then spend an hour writing the script or something. It speeds things up so much. So that's by far my the most important tool that I use for generating those ideas and those scripts.
I love it. Now, what's your thoughts, or what are you seeing with people taking longer form content and then chopping up that into shorts? Do you see that as effective, or is it just kind of not as effective? I know my opinion about it, but I want to ask you your opinions about it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. Especially if you're not comfortable, because most people aren't comfortable picking up their phone and, filming a video and remembering what to say. Like it's awkward.
Yeah.
But there's so many different ways that you can create quality content by doing what we're doing here. Okay. So here's one tip that you can consider. If you want to create a lot of content in like an hour, have a Ask Me Anything Zoom session. Okay. Have prospects, mark it on LinkedIn to your email list and say, Friday at noon for 1 hour, you can come on, ask me anything about, your particular business. Record that session. That's all you're doing. At the end, you chop that up, and every answer that you gave could be a 30 to 60-second video. And, you're cutting the audience out. It's just you on camera. It has the look that you were, on a podcast or a webinar. The production quality isn't as sharp as what you would see maybe in a TikTok feed or something like that, but it has a certain level of authority. And again, it's a very conversational answer, as opposed to again, picking up your phone and rehearsing scripts. You're actually answering a question that someone asked. And if someone is asking that question that's in a group like that, there's probably hundreds of people on LinkedIn who are asking the exact same question. So for that reason, I'm a huge fan of taking longer form video and chopping it up and repurposing it for LinkedIn.
Yeah, and it's going to give someone hit and others won't hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
When it
yeah.
says it's short form. Now, are you sharing that video first to LinkedIn and then sharing it to other platforms like YouTube and Instagram and other things like that too, or not?
Yeah. So everything that I do is with a LinkedIn first mindset, and then I'll just repurpose it, on basically all the other channels. I get, aside from TikTok, there's very little leads that I get from Facebook, Instagram.
Yes.
I've run a few small scale paid ads to cold traffic there, but it's LinkedIn first, and then put it out there. You never know who might see it and it might resonate with. But I don't do separate production for YouTube or separate production for Instagram. It's just, here's the video, put it out there.
Yeah, I'm a big thing. Film it once and
Yeah.
then share it 8 times.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's good to see LinkedIn doing that, especially when COVID. I know LinkedIn was so behind the ball when it came to like the live video. They were so selective in LinkedIn Live that I really think it stunted their growth where other channels really took off. Are you still using a lot of that growth? Like, I mean, like you said, hey, ask me anything. That could be a LinkedIn Live Q&A that you're live streaming there, and then using it to chop back up or repurposing it again at a later fashion. Um, on the LinkedIn Lives, what's some tips that you would give to folks out there? With obviously, this is longer form content than the shorter form stuff we talked about. Is
Mhm.
having a regular time that you're doing that every week or every other week, or how often, or repurposing your other videos from other places?
Yeah. So I love LinkedIn live streams. That's also something that I'm trying to do more of, and I'm encouraging all of my clients to do more of in 2025. I've had a couple of clients who have had great success with live streams over the past year. They've generated more leads through those than they have some of their own content.
Yeah, nice.
And the live streams just have a unique several things that are unique about them, but it's that real-time interaction, being able to engage back and forth with people who are asking questions in the comments. It's even different than having a closed Zoom meeting, right? Because it is public facing. The whole world can see it. And again, you can take that, you can chop it up into smaller clips for content later. It lives on your profile indefinitely, so a lot of people are going to watch it, after the live event is actually over. So there's just a lot of benefits to it. If you're doing it, I would encourage you to, one, the first time you do it, have a producer. Because unlike other platforms, you can't just hit go live and you're live. You have to use a third-party streaming service like Restream or StreamYard. It's not super complicated, but the first time you do it, you don't want to have to juggle your content with the production and all that. So that's one thing that I would recommend. The other is don't go live by yourself the first time. I've done that, and you can certainly do it. It can certainly be effective. But if you have someone to talk to throw things back and forth, it's a whole lot more comfortable and a whole lot less awkward than you just sitting there, trying to think of what to say or having long pauses between questions that may or may not be coming in. So go live with a friend, with a colleague, and I think you'll get a lot more. You'll be a lot more comfortable that first time.
Yeah, there's nothing like talking into the realm and nobody talking back to you and trying to fill a 30-minute session with ideas to yourself versus getting some Q&A. The aspect of promoting that and creating an event about that is one of the great things about using Restream is you can set up those events to go live that will automatically make it an event live on LinkedIn to help people on there. Then tagging your guests or tagging people that are going to be on there to take part in it is a great tool that's not often available on the other ones.
Yes, definitely,
Uh,
definitely.
how are you using, if you are, LinkedIn newsletters? I really have loved those. That feature the last hard to believe. I think was it been 2 years that newsletters have really been around there.
Yeah,
I think it's been a great way to really grow an audience and be in people's inbox without necessarily having their email address.
yeah, yeah. I love newsletters. They were new. LinkedIn put a lot of emphasis on them when they first rolled out. They kind of pulled back a little bit. I think the reach pulled back over the last year or so. But I was reading some predictions and actually some statements from LinkedIn recently that said that they were going to be putting more emphasis on newsletters over the next year. So I would encourage folks to certainly explore that. You need to have obviously a topic that you know a lot about. You pick a frequency that you can commit to, whether that's weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, whatever that is. Just being able to do that and stick with it. But what's so great about it is, unlike a post that you would make, where the algorithm is going to decide who and who is not going to see that post, if you subscribe to someone's newsletter, they are at least going to get it delivered in their inbox, right? They may not see it in the newsfeed, but it will hit their inbox where they can either read part of it or they can click over and go to the full version on the LinkedIn website. So that's one reason that I love it, is because I know they're going to be delivered. Um, Unfortunately, you don't get those email addresses. LinkedIn keeps those, behind closed doors, but you are getting in their inbox. And I had another really good point about newsletters that I was trying
Well,
to
you can
think of.
see who subscribed to your newsletter. That's one thing that I
Yes.
like. Because it gives you an update. Hey, you had 7 new people subscribe today, and so
Yep.
I always like taking that extra step and clicking on those people and say, hey, thanks for subscribing to the newsletter. Would you like to get, would you like to be on the official email list, or how can I help assist you in a form or fashion? And, that leads to connections or followers, whereas it's not, not always going to see that in other places.
Absolutely. You can see the most recent ones, and that's something you should do if after you have your newsletter once a week, go through and do exactly what you just described. Send them a thank you. It's a great way to start a natural conversation that's not salesy, it's not pitchy, and you never know what will come from those conversations.
I like
Um,
to I like to offer them up access my free 1 day class where they can go register for it, and that gets me their email and cell phone number, and then they're in my database to be able to market to,
yes,
follow up with on a drip campaign on a regular basis.
yes, that's fantastic. The other thing I would encourage you to do when you're starting your newsletter, the first one is the most important. You want to make sure that the headline, the topic is as good as you can possibly make it, because when you first launch your first article on your newsletter, LinkedIn is going to send out a notification to all of your contacts and say, "Hey, Scott has just launched the XYZ newsletter. Would you like to subscribe?" And they're going to see the headline there. And if it's good, I have seen in many cases, 50+% of your followers will subscribe to it. So that first issue is extremely important. So make sure it counts.
Yeah, I think I'm at 15, 15 to, yeah, just under 20% of my connections are subscribed to my newsletter. I like that. I wish it was 50, but I didn't do a very good job of the first one. You know what I
The
mean?
first one really is that important, because I think it's the only time LinkedIn automatically pushes it out. There's things that you can do to promote it after that, but you want to take advantage of that free push, as much as you can.
What's your opinion on a lot of the LinkedIn groups out there? I know that they've really promoted that in the past. LinkedIn groups seems to be almost a wasteland in a lot of cases. There's not a lot of communication, just a lot of posting taking place. What's your thoughts about how to leverage those, or even if you should spend time or not leveraging them?
Yeah. So LinkedIn groups, the concept is fantastic. You've got a very niche audience, together in a closed network, if you will. But LinkedIn's platform has done nothing to grow the technology and the facilitation of communication and posting and so forth. It's just very outdated. I have seen also another statement recently that they're going to be putting more focus on groups, more focus on niche communities within LinkedIn. I personally, I am experimenting right now. Nonprofit consultants is one of my most important targets, ideal customers, and I'm part of a nonprofit consultant group. There's like 12,000 people in there, and no one is posting. So like a couple times a week, I will go in and I'll take a post that I've created in the past that's pure value driven.
Yep.
Here's tips and tactics. I'm putting them in there, and out of all the people that are in that group, I see like 12 impressions on a post, or 30 or something like it's minimal,
Mhm.
but you never know who's seeing it, right? You never know who may actually finally reach out and say, "Man, I saw that post that you made." So even though they're not getting there's not a lot of activity within there. If you are part of a group and that is your ideal audience, it is a good idea to post content in there. But again, I think LinkedIn has a long way to go to improve the functionality and to make those group settings more uh, more up to date, more
Well,
2025.
exactly. It is nice that it does allow you to connect with people if you're in a similar group, a little bit easier versus having to go through stuff. Um, and that's always nice. But yeah, you're right. It's a wasteland sometimes. I go on there and see the same people pitch slapping all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I think one thing that we haven't talked about is turning on creator mode on your profile. If you're going to do a LinkedIn newsletter, being able to turn that button on to creator mode is important for folks. But let's take a step back to kind of when they're first getting on their profile. We all know a headshot or a photo shot that's somewhat recent is important. The header background is important, but how important is the about you part of it? I think a lot of people really slack off on that aspect of it, and I think that's the territory. It's really, I think, most valuable, and in getting people to see who you are and how the best way to connect with you in a lot of cases, huh?
Yeah, definitely. And the first thing that I would say about the profile, and this kind of goes back to a comment that I made earlier in the podcast, most people approach their profile from the wrong perspective. If you're trying to get a job or advance your career, make it about yourself. That's fine. If you're trying to grow your business, get leads, land more clients, you want to make your profile more about the problems that you solve for your customers. Okay. Make it about them, less about you. And when they see your profile within a couple of seconds, they need to understand that you have a product or service that solves their problem or can help make them more money. And if they don't see that, they're going to bounce, right? So to your point, everything in your profile, from the banner image to your headline, and especially the about section, which is more important today than ever before for several reasons. One of which, it used to be buried sort of at the bottom of the page. They've moved it up like above the featured content. I mean,
Yep.
it's much more prominent from a visual standpoint. And what I would encourage you to do there is, again, take the approach of calling out your ideal customer and the pain points that they have at the very top of your about section. There's a copywriting framework called problem, agitate, solution, where you call the problem out at the very top. You agitate that. You talk about the pain points that they have in their business, followed by your solution, how your solution, excuse me, solution, and what you can do for them. And be sure you also include at the very bottom of the about section a call to action. Whether that's, to book a call or send me a DM to get started. If they've read all the way through there, they're interested. So just give them, make it easy for them to make that next step.
Mm-hmm. So true. And it's so valuable. That's one thing I have used ChatGPT to help me write my about me a
Yeah,
couple different ways, and tweaking it, updating it on a pretty regular basis too, as things change, right?
absolutely. And if you're not using ChatGPT to optimize your profile, you're missing out, really. I've been doing this for years, and without ChatGPT, obviously, but ChatGPT has saved me, countless hours and helping me write content or profiles for my clients. Again, I do what you just mentioned. I update mine on a regular basis, and it's just a smart way to go about optimizing your profile.
Right, exactly. Besides putting in your job history and things like that too, I think the featured is also a really nice aspect of being able to put something that's going to have photos or videos that you want people to really see what you're about too. Whether it's in our neck of the woods, be like a pitch deck video about what their people are investing in or buying or selling, or their kind of their background in a lot of cases too, or whatever that main thing, maybe they a sneak peek of what the C to A, the call to action is.
Yes. The featured section is my favorite part of the profile because to your point, you can put anything you want there. You can highlight anything, whether it's a post that you've written, whether it's a video that's on YouTube or an interview somewhere, a lead magnet, anything like that's going to add value, or testimonials for social proof. That's just a very, very important piece of real estate. And a lot of people don't know they actually have to manually turn that on. It's not there by default. I don't know why. But if you don't have it on your profile right now, at the very top of your profile, go to add profile section, and then it will be like add featured, it's under
Yes.
recommended, something like that. And when you click that, it will prompt you, okay, what do you want to add? And you can choose from a variety of different options. But if you're not using it right now, you're really missing out on some prime real estate.
Yeah, it totally is, because I've put custom links in just for those, and those are the ones that get clicked more so than anything else with the tracking. And it always
Mhm.
amazes me, especially when you change it up a little bit, seeing how the interaction is, which is really good for you. Now, I have to ask you a question. As we're coming up at the dawn of another quarter century here, and you've been doing this for a while and helping so many people achieve success, how far in advance have you been planning this next year? I know that you had a great post talking about what you're featured on, but have you been, I know I go back to October to start planning the next year. Have you started planning like what you're going to be posting, talking about here in 2025?
So at a high level, at a very tactical level, I personally I'm not very far. Um,
It's
I
okay.
usually I usually create content for my stuff about a month in advance.
Yeah.
And I like to stay flexible. Obviously, there's you don't want to box yourself in, and there's always changes changes in the market, changes in platform, and that sort of thing. So I like to kind of plan out a month or so in advance. Um, and for my clients, that's typically when I'm creating content for them. It's creating for a month, and then we always want to take a look back at the analytics too, right? What content's performing well? What adjustments do we need to make so that we're not boxed in? It's a fluid strategy, if you will, because things change.
Well, that's a good thing of taking a look back to what got the most impressions, most views, most comments in the last 12 months, and making a note to kind of, hey, this worked well around Halloween. We need to do something similar to this,
Mhm.
or this worked well around March and St. Patrick's Day. Let's make sure and post some Irish whiskey on there. You know what I mean? That kind of
Right.
stuff.
The other thing to look at there too is a lot of people just look at, okay, how many likes did I get or how many comments or the reach? The other question you need to ask is how many conversations were started from that? How many profile views did you get from that post for that particular week? Like those are indicators that a lot of people don't pay attention to. They just look at the vanity metrics, if you will, and they're important to a degree, but there's a lot of other factors that you need to think about as you're analyzing, what posts are actually moving the needle to grow your business.
Yeah, one of the things that we do a lot of is when we pull in a list of asset managers at banks, stuff like that. If we've downloaded a list or pulled a list from a big event or a state licensing website or something like that, is going and having our virtual assistants going and seeing if these individuals are on LinkedIn. And then one of the things that when we do an beginning email blast out to them, say, hey, let's connect on LinkedIn, and seeing who's looking at our profile. As they look at our profile, well, go ahead and send that time to say, hey, I saw that you checked my profile. I think you got my email. Love to continue the conversation. It's all about that extra touch approach. 80% of sales comes after the fifth contact in a lot of cases.
Right.
And this makes it easier on some of the things that we've discussed here today, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Sales Navigator is a fantastic tool. We could spend hours talking about Sales Navigator, but for those of you who aren't using it, if you're in B2B, like that is one of the most underutilized tools. It basically allows you to find your ideal target audience, build a list of leads, and get notified every time they make a post so that you can immediately go in and engage with their content. And like at the most basic, simple level, that's what it allows you to do so that when you do go to LinkedIn every day, you're not wasting time commenting on garbage in the news feed. You're going straight into the Sales Navigator content feed that is filled with content from your perfect prospects, and like there's gold there if you do that right.
There's gold in there in that LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Now, talk a little bit about your branding, the Brandwagon Club that you've launched here, and you're working with professionals to help them, turn their blase profiles into rock star.
Yeah. Yeah. So I launched Brandwagon back about 6 months ago, and it's basically an online community that allows you to learn how to build your personal brand, grow your business, sort of at your own pace. It's a community filled with tons of resources, weekly content prompts. There's weekly Q&A calls with me where you can ask questions so you can get unstuck. There are monthly master classes where we have trainings that I provide that we bring guest speakers on as well. Online courses that are built in there, everything from Sales Navigator to profile optimization to even using AI to create content and so forth. So lots of resources packed in there. And I really built that community to really help folks who can't necessarily afford the higher ticket, one-on-one tickets or one-on-one coaching, if you will. And the Brandwagon is currently $67 a month. You can cancel anytime. So it's a very low risk way to get in, learn about LinkedIn, and even get a free profile review with me. Something that I'm offering with the program right now.
Awesome. Yeah, $67 is well worth it.
Well worth it.
I think you need to do a little more, but that's my opinion.
It's going up soon. Yeah, completely
There you go.
transparent. That's going up soon.
Scarcity clause. That's called the scarcity sale there. But no, it's true that everybody when you get somebody who's a professional at it, who's raised millions of dollars and can ask you the questions that maybe you're not thinking about and how to steer your profile to hit the right people, have the right people taking a look at it. So valuable, so worth the time versus just floundering out there, throwing shit against the wall, hoping stuff sticks. is so important. I've even taken a couple of nuggets here today, ladies and gentlemen. So it's awesome. Now, I do have to ask a couple of things, and this is the thing. I love what you're doing. How, and I get this question and maybe a little bit of pushback from people that come from the corporate world, that their 9 to 5 job where they've done, and then they come out as an entrepreneur and they struggle with the fact that they now have to be the face kind of their brand, right? Did you struggle with that after leaving Ducks Unlimited and going on your own a little bit? And what are your thoughts on how folks can kind of maybe overcome that imposter syndrome? They're like, oh no, I don't need to be the brand. I don't want to be the brand, but you really do need to be the brand, right?
Yeah, you have no choice. You are the brand. You are the face of the business. And for me, when I left Ducks Unlimited and started this, it was a lot easier because I had been doing it for years, right? For several years, I'd built a network of like 30,000 people. I knew how to do it. I was comfortable creating content. I was comfortable going on camera and so forth. But that's not just something that comes natural. It takes practice. So to your point, yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, you don't have a choice. You've got to put yourself out there and building a personal brand is really the most important asset that you'll ever build, because it will follow you throughout your career. If you change your job, if you change the direction you're taking your business, that personal brand is going to follow you and help you continue to grow and advance. And if you do it the right way, that personal brand will generate inbound business as opposed to the outbound that we all, not necessarily hate, but I would much rather put out some content that draws people in to me than spend time sending DM or cold emails or cold calling or something like that. And when you get it, when you figure out that magic formula, it can transform your business for sure.
Totally can. I think LinkedIn is one of the best assets for that because of some of the things that we've talked about today on this and sharing it. And I highly recommend you guys. I don't bring people on and recommend things unless, I know them personally and know the quality behind it. And here's a shot of the page of the brandwagonclub.com. There's where you want to go to get advantage. And yes, most of you all need this. All right. I love that I need this here, but just a great tool community for you to help you stand out from the crowd, to help you take your LinkedIn profile to an amazing new level in the new year. It's the worst thing of trying to figure something out and take you 6 months when you can do this in 6 weeks and then have a whole different outlook on raising capital, finding deals, and ultimately closing more deals and making great connections with people who feed you business on a regular basis. And like you said, treat LinkedIn like it's a true networking event, not just another social media platform, right?
Absolutely. And I appreciate the plug there. I really appreciate that, Scott.
Hey, anytime, buddy. I love what you're doing. I've been a big fan since when you launched. I think we had you on. I think we were one of the first podcasts you were on. You're going out on your own, which is awesome.
Yep.
Big plans for, obviously, anything you're really excited besides Brandwagon Club. You had that for going for 6 months. What's kind of a goal or two for you for the new year?
Yeah, so I'm personally looking at finding ways to bring some new offers to the market, particularly with AI and AI systems to help you generate content, not necessarily just for yourself, but that teams can actually take. There's so much advancement with AI, with automation, with new processes. I've gotten addicted to Zapier and building automated workflows based on different things, and it's like enabled me to scale my business. Something that I never would have thought of before, and something that I'm really passionate about, and I'm trying to find a way to turn that into an offer where I can help other individuals and other businesses take advantage of that.
Well, what I love about you too, Anthony, is that you do spend a lot of time with your family and kids too. You don't spend 80 hours a week trying to beat this over the head. You've done a great job in getting this, but you also make time first for the family and your kids, and spend some time outdoors hunting or doing something fun as well.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, no doubt.
Amen is exactly what it's all about there for having a good time, making memories, and living, not working.
Yes.
You can try and turn your work into fun as best you can there for you. Guys, we'll put that link in here in the description for you. We'll put Anthony's LinkedIn URL there. That way you can click over and connect with him. Is there any other ways that you'd like for people to connect with you besides on LinkedIn, Anthony?
That's it. If you want to check out my website, buildyourbrandonlinkedin.com.
Say it one more time for the folks in the back.
Yeah. Buildyourbrandonlinkedin.com.
Awesome. Good stuff there, bud. Appreciate you coming on here, man. Looking forward to all those tips and amazing tactics that you just shared here. I know I'm going to spend some time in the next couple of days on my LinkedIn.
Awesome.
So, awesome.
Scott, I appreciate you having me on today, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Always glad we'll have to do it again here sometime sooner than what we've done before here. So
sounds like a plan.
Sounds good. All right, guys and gals, we'll go out there, get signed up for that. You're going to not regret it. As Anthony mentioned, $67, man. You guys spend more than that on some of the other stuff, stupid stuff that we all spend this time of year. Heck, we probably spent that more on wrapping paper that we're just going to throw away here for Christmas. But go out there, get signed up for it. Take advantage. If not, just connect with Anthony out there and follow what he does. He will blow you away, and he'll always as well leave you laughing as well. So go out, take some action, everybody, and we'll see you.